Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Everything EPL, your one stop for the latest action of the Premier League. A packed episode. Liverpool still thrashing teams, even though people are not considering them the favorites for the title yet. Manchester City winning a game that the score does not reflect what actually happened in the game. Man United, Michael Carrick grabbing a point from Chelsea, where I don't think they should have. I have here a great panel today. I am here with my regular now, Jackson. How are you, my buddy?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
And a special guest for everybody, Don Husam from This Is Football. Everybody, you all know him from Twitter. His spaces are famous on Twitter. He's a Liverpool supporter. He has his own podcast, his YouTube channel. We're going to put the link for you down below in the video description. How are you, Husam?
I'm good. Happy to be here. My team won. My title rivals dropped points, so I'm happy. Couldn't be better.
Absolutely. Guys, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and also follow Husam, follow us on Twitter, follow Football Worldwide on Twitter, follow my Twitter handle. Husam's Twitter handle is very famous on Twitter, his channel. We're going to put all of this in the video description. And if you're listening audio, you can find Husam on Twitter, and he has his own podcast. I'm going to jump in right ahead. We're going to start really a little bit crazy. Burnley Spurs, have you guys seen the scenes?
I haven't been able to keep updated with it.
Husam, tell us a little bit what happened.
I've seen it. Sean Dyche looks amazing in a suit out there in the snow. Like it's really snowy. It looks beautiful, but obviously you can't play football in these circumstances, unfortunately. Sean Dyche with a suit in the middle of the snow. I don't think I
took
would
off
have
the
seen.
jacket. He took off the jacket.
I don't think I would have seen any better picture this entire week. Like that was just beautiful to see. But the game's postponed, and I guess it happens sometimes in football, because that pitch was not ready for a football game at all.
It's surprising to me, to be honest, Husam and Jackson, that a team in the Premier League has been in the Premier League for a while now. Burnley, it's kind of we consider Burnley a regular in the Premier League for the last 4 or 5 seasons, and they don't have like a heater in the ground to melt the ice like the other fields. It's kind of, I'm not bashing them, but it's kind of strange. Like, this is the biggest league in the world. This is the most the rich league in the world, and they don't have this technology where like small teams in Italy and Spain, they have them. And it's just kind of strange to me. Was that like something, did you guys know this, or that came as a shock?
I mean, I never knew about it personally. Maybe this is why Burnley should get relegated. This is like, listen, talk to the worst guy, because I have a Burnley agenda. I genuinely despise that football club. If they get relegated, I would genuinely like throw out a celebratory stream. Like, we can all hang out and enjoy them getting relegated. So, I don't know how to respond to that. I'm just like, listen. Besides Chelsea and Man United and City, I'm supporting every other team against Burnley, and that's just how my life goes.
Jackson can tell you that we have like this what do you call it, like a bar in this show, where we actually say, if you're not Burnley, you're good enough to stay in the Premier League. If you don't play Burnley football, you're good enough to be able, like, we can watch you, because we think, Jackson can tell you that, we think that Burnley is kind of, they're ruining football. I'm not bashing Sean Dyche. He gets it done. Like, at the end, Burnley has been in the Premier League, but I think that long ball, yes. Anyway, we're starting right. Okay, we're moving on to Chelsea, Man United, a point. And I think I'm going to start with Jackson right here. Jackson, was that a fair result based on, from a Chelsea supporter point of view?
It's a bit of a mixed bag for me, because obviously I was disappointed from the finishing side. Like, it was just, most of the game was just completely dominated by Chelsea. There were a ton of chances. Conversion, again, just another day of struggling. The goal that Man U got, they never should have scored that. Yeah, players make mistakes. That was tough. I was happy with how they responded, though, to Man United, kept going right at them, and finally got the equalizer. But no, I don't think that was a fair result. I think Chelsea should have taken all 3 points, but again, I think it was, their own fault. They did it to themselves. They had several opportunities where they could have put the game to bed.
Husam, do you think that this was a progression for Man United? It was same old, but they just capitalized on a big mistake.
It wasn't progression, but in my honest opinion, I still think it was a fair result, because Man United defended properly. At least defensively, they were solid. Obviously, we've seen what happened to Man United against Liverpool, against Man City. I guess beating United isn't for everyone, but that's a different topic. But depending on today's game, I just think, look, Man United, because of how strong they were defensively, I would say they probably did deserve a point. Was the goal lucky? Yes, no one can deny that. But I think they deserved the point. Is it progression? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This isn't progression at all. And I think maybe when we see obviously the biggest rumor, I'm surprised he hasn't been announced so far. But Ralph Ragnick, obviously, if he becomes Man United manager, somehow they don't mess this up. Then you'll start to see progression. But as things stand, there's no progression whatsoever. This is literally just like watching United under Oli as well.
Here's my pitch, guys, and this is something that I voiced this in Twitter. And I asked people, my friends and the people that watch, especially Man United fans, and they think, some of the Man United fans, they think that Ralph Ragnick is kind of a revolution instead of in terms of coaching, but I don't think so. If he was that good as a coach, big teams would have come for him. I think he's a very good director. He can manage your clubs. He can actually make your players worth more. He can develop your academy, make you a bigger club, but also, that being said, he only made smaller clubs or troubled clubs like Schalke. It's not a small club, but they were in trouble before he came in, Hoffenheim and RB Leipzig. So why are we excited about him being a coach? Or are we just excited about him being in the management side in the whole thing? Jackson.
Well, if you're a Manchester United fan, I think you might say your club is in a bit of trouble right now. So I think maybe just looking at his track record a little bit, they're hoping that he could just come in, kind of, stabilize Man U and get back to more consistent positive results. So I think that's what they're excited about. But like you said, Man U obviously is a much bigger club than clubs he's managed in the past. But I still think there's a lot of work to be done there, and they definitely need some better organization with the club. So I think that's what he'll bring to the side.
Husam, it doesn't look like he's going to be the coach long term. It looks like he's there as an interim manager 6 months, and he's going to move to the director box, and then somebody else is going to step in. From your point of view, since this is the first time for us to talk, who's the better manager for them? Is it Brendan Rodgers, who's having a terrible season from the squad standard of Leicester, Zinedine Zidane, or Pochettino?
Oh, for me, it's definitely Zidane. As a rival fan, I would be much more worried if he got Zidane. Zidane, the one thing like you can't deny is he knows how to deal with egos. Obviously, with Madrid, Bale, Modric, Ronaldo, Benzema, Ramos, all of these players are egos, and he could deal with them, and he got them to play a certain system, a certain way. And the same thing with Man United. Make no mistake, they're not all nice players. Ronaldo's an ego, Bruno's an ego, Pogba's an ego, Maguire, for God knows what reason, is an ego as well. So like all these egos, you need to deal with as a manager. And I think Zidane would actually be perfect for them right now because the house is already built. You just need someone who is, an interior designer, come in, just design the house, but everything's already built for you. Because that's the one thing Oli did, I think, that even United fans don't give him credit for, but he did rebuild it to an extent. So it just needs someone to fix things up. When it comes to Pochettino would have been perfect post Mourinho because he's a rebuild manager. It makes no sense getting in now. Why do you need someone to rebuild after you've already done a rebuild? When it comes to Ten Hag, he would be perfect long term. But if Man United fans are looking for short-term success, I would say Zidane. Me personally would worry me more because Ten Hag against Pep, Klopp, Tuchel, am I like, is he like incredible compared to them? No, like he's still below them in my opinion.
Absolutely. Jackson, going back to the football side of the game.
Yeah.
Do you think the struggles for Chelsea came from the system that Tuchel plays is that it does not favor a forward, it favors more the midfielders, it favors more the wingers, it does not favor a striker, different to maybe on paper, it looks like the Conte system that he played with Inter that favored a lot of the forwards, Martinez and Lukaku. Do you think to get the best out of Lukaku and Timo Werner, they need to change a little bit their system to be just direct to the forward and build based on the forward is the focal point instead of the midfield?
I actually might disagree with you here a little bit. I was really disappointed when Lukaku got injured because now I think with the formation, as you see, with the wingbacks, Reese and Chilwell before, now it's going to be Alonso, but they're just constantly sending in crosses. So yeah, they move up the field on the sides, but if you get up into the opponent's attacking third, you have a big body like Lukaku in there. He'll he'll be having a field day with if he can win those headers against defenders. So I think when he's fully fit back into the side, which hopefully now he is, I think we'll be seeing a lot more header goals because with the players that were playing on top for Chelsea, great players, but they're aerially they can struggle against bigger defenders. So I think once Lukaku's back in there, it will favor that forward.
One last thing for football, I'm gonna ask Hosam. Do you think that Cristiano Ronaldo's staying on the bench from the beginning of the game was the right decision? Not only from footballing point of view, from ego point of view, especially with a young manager who actually came to Manchester United, I think, after him in the 2000s era.
I think Man United are just the decisions off the pitch are costing them because if we're being completely honest and candid, the only reason they signed Cristiano Ronaldo is because Manchester City wanted him. That's the only reason they signed him. I think they're putting the future of their club in jeopardy, if I'm being completely honest. I think Cristiano Ronaldo is a goal scorer, but Man United are not that ready-made team for a goal scorer. They need players who work hard. They need players who press. And even going forward, Martial, Sancho, Rashford, Greenwood are all players that are the future of Man United. When it comes to Cristiano, if Cristiano Ronaldo played today, I don't even think Man United are even 1-0 up. I think when it comes to Cristiano Ronaldo in a game like this, we've seen what happened against Liverpool. We've seen what happened against City. These aren't like the games where you would like prefer for Ronaldo to play if you were manager. No player is bigger than the club. I couldn't care less. I think if your style does not suit the game, the manager has the every right to drop you. If I was in his place, I would drop Ronaldo as well. I would drop him against the big teams. Obviously, playing Ronaldo against the likes of Burnley, etc., Norwich, these teams, it's incredible. Like you could use them for 32, 33, 34 games a season. But when you're away at Stamford Bridge, you need players who are going to work hard, who are going to run, who are going to press, who are going to make the runs in behind. And I don't think Ronaldo at 37 brings that. Ronaldo right now is a goal scorer. And United were never going to create enough chances anyway for him to have an impact. So I think it was definitely the right decision to drop him. In terms of his ego, yes, that's always going to be a problem. And this is why I said earlier, it links to the managerial question. Zidane for me is the guy who scares me because I know for a fact he can get all those egos working towards one goal. And I just don't think with the other two or whoever it is, Ralph Ragnick even, could get them to, be that one unit dealing with them together.
I absolutely agree with you. I think Zidane is a short-term solution. If you get him for a year, 2 or 3, he will get you something out of these players. But building long-term, I don't think it's a manager's job. I think it's a back staff job or a director's job to build from down. So I'm gonna move on to the Etihad, who was snowing like crazy first half, but it was beautiful in the second half. Man City actually controlled this whole game against West Ham, and they did something that Liverpool, and I'm going to start with Husam in this. Man City did something because Liverpool, your team, lost against West Ham only because you could not defend set pieces. I think Jurgen Klopp underestimated how strong West Ham in set pieces, but today, every time West Ham got a set piece, Pep was set his team really, really well to actually win the first header and not give West Ham any chance. Do you think that West Ham can actually stay in top 4? I'm going to start with West Ham first because that was in my opinion, that was a straightforward win for City. If you watch the game, if you watch the highlights, you might not think that, but if you watch the game, it was a full control City from minute 1 to the last minute. Do you think, Husam, that West Ham can stay in that top 4 position for the rest of the season?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. As a supporter of a team who has been in the Europa League a few times, I know exactly the impact it has. Playing Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Monday, whatever it is, only has a negative impact. We've seen United with a bunch of superstars finish 6th because they played in the Europa League. That first season Mourinho had, obviously. So, it does affect your league form, definitely. Listen, we've been watching the Premier League for a long time, and we have seen so many clubs start off incredibly well at the start. The likes of Everton Everton have done this like probably 5 to 6 times ever since we started watching the Premier League. You have other teams. If you want to go back, I can go back to Hull City and Denilson when they had that incredible like start to the season. When it comes to West Ham, they are overachieving right now, which is why when I was asked who's the manager of the season so far, the only correct answer, in my opinion, is David Moyes, because I think he's just overachieving for what he has. But when it comes to West Ham staying in the top 4, it's nearly impossible. West Ham cannot go Premier League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Europa League, and finish top 4. I don't think that's asking way too much of them, because in my opinion, I don't know if you guys agree or not, there are 3 teams who are a shoo-in in the top 4, and that's in no particular order: Chelsea, Liverpool, and City. I think guaranteed top 4. So you have about
I agree with you for sure.
Yeah, so you have about 6, 7 teams fighting for that 4th position. So I don't think West Ham are going to make it, I'm afraid.
To be honest with you, I can't see a better squad than them, other than Man United, which is in shambolic like situation. The only factor that I see in this league that has, there is a better squad, which is Leicester, but we know what's going on in Leicester. They're not playing great. Is Antonio Conte. Antonio Conte gets things done. And I know that from because I'm an Inter supporter and because I watched him bringing Chelsea from way below to just winners right away, and Juventus similar in 2012. So I don't see any other team that is better than them at the moment. Maybe later when Europa League, they don't have the squad that is better than them. And the manager,
they play one game a week though.
But yes. But the manager, who would you pick, Arteta or David Moyes, long term? And also Arsenal still they don't play Europe.
Obviously, I would pick Arteta.
You do for future or for now?
Even for now, I would still pick Arteta, if I'm being honest.
Very interesting.
I don't think Arteta is bad. Here's the thing: we have seen teams, the impact it has. Jackson's a Chelsea fan. His club didn't play European football. They won the league. My club didn't play European football. We almost won the league, even though it was unexpected in 13-14. When it comes to Arsenal, I fully believe this December period is going to be very telling, because while everyone is playing Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Sunday, Wednesday, blah, 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 Arsenal are just hanging out and playing one game a week. So we'll see. And they're going by their business slowly, by the way, because they are level on points as well with the 4th position. So I think Arsenal could do it,
So City supporters are going to be upset because we have not talked about City yet. Who are absolutely, the midweek, they cruised against PSG. Whoa, that game was absolutely, it was horrific from PSG point of view. I know they were ahead, but it was horrific. Man City deserved to actually win with better margin than this. Jackson, Man City, they're doing the business. It's not, I don't want to say quiet, but the way they won against Man United and the way they won against West Ham, it tells you that I'm not sure if Pep is telling this to the players. I can't believe that this is happening, but they're not winning by the margins that reflect what is actually happening in the games. Do you think, Jackson, this is that because of the lack of the number 9 thing, which is kind of a cliche talk now, or it's actually because City, they don't push everybody forward? Kyle Walker always stays in the back with the 2 in the back when they are attacking with 7 players. Why do you think this is happening? Why not the highest scorer in the league are Man City? Because I think Man City or Liverpool, they dominate most of the games.
I think part of it is definitely a lack of a number 9, but something else I say every time I watch a Man City game, it's always they get it done. Maybe it's not by the margin you think so, or you think it should be, but they get the win. They do what they have to when they have to. Because when I was watching the game, the Chelsea game today, I was like, you know what, a real title-winning side would go on and find a way to get 3 points against Man U. They didn't do that. I honestly think if City was in that same exact position, they would have come back and grabbed a winner, just because I think, that's what City does. They have that mentality and they're able to scrape out the results. So I think, to answer your question more clearly, it's just City knows what they have to do and they do it. They might leave it a little late or, leave something on the field, but they still get it done.
Absolutely. We got to talk about the Lanzini goal, guys. I know it's a 94th minute, and this is what made the game look like it's close game 2-1, but actually it wasn't. But it was a brilliant goal. if you haven't watched it, go watch it on YouTube. It's absolutely fantastic goal from Lanzini. He's kind of a specialist. I remember his goal against Spurs, that 3-3 draw. That was absolutely, it's kind of similar goal, but this one was absolutely fantastic. Now we're gonna move to, I think it was an easy game because Liverpool 4, Southampton 0. I think if you're a big team, you would think that Hassan Hotel, who is, I have a lot of admiration for the guy. The guy with a squad like this, he still play good football. They try to move forward, but you can't do that against Liverpool, Husam, right? You have to sit deep. You can't try to build and play 4-4-2 against this Liverpool team. Let me ask you a straight question. Have you felt at any moment from minute one that these 3 points are in danger?
Not really. I think Southampton played way too expansive, and we just ate them alive. You know, when a lion smells blood, it's game over, and that's exactly what happened. Here's the thing: giving Jota, Mane, and Salah space to run into, giving them space to create is a massive mistake. I think it's just it's just absolutely crazy. And if I'm being completely honest, if we took even like some of our chances, we could have easily won that game by 6 or 7. Like we literally, Southampton didn't lay a glove on us. Like Alisson made 1 or 2 saves, and this is what separates top keepers, obviously. When it comes to Alisson, the game could be quiet for 50 minutes, and in the 51st minute he gets an opportunity and he saves it. But overall, Southampton did not lay a glove on us. Like you said, they played expansive, and we took full advantage. We took absolutely full advantage of everything they've done.
Tell me a little bit about Thiago. How do you feel? Because I was one that said that Thiago, when he came in, you know, it's too easy, to be honest, to play for Barcelona. And it's too easy to play for Bayern Munich, especially the Barcelona era where they played with Messi, when they're like, everybody comes against them and no pressure in the midfield. You have all the time to turn and do all the stuff. Bayern Munich is exactly the same. And I thought Thiago is not going to work in Liverpool. I still think that Thiago is good in some games, but he's not Wijnaldum. He's not Jordan Henderson. I think he's technically brilliant. The Premier League requires some certain, like some kind of like physicality. Maybe he's going to develop that. But Husam, I know that he has been good for 2 games, but before he wasn't good. He was losing the ball. And even yesterday in the beginning, he did one. He lost the ball on top of his Euro 18. Do you feel like Thiago is a long-term solution for your midfield after what the brilliant Wijnaldum, of course?
I mean, listen, first of all, Thiago is not Henderson. He's not Wijnaldum. I agree. He's better than them. When it comes to Thiago, the last 10 games of the season, last season where we got the 3rd position, obviously, we got 8 wins and 2 draws. He could arguably be our best player in those last 10 games. So I completely disagree. I think Thiago gives us a different element to what our midfielders do naturally. I think 2 things can be right at the same time. It was the right time to let go of Wijnaldum, but we should have brought in a replacement. I think both things are accurate at the same time. It's not Wijnaldum should have stayed or Wijnaldum should have left. It's Wijnaldum should have left and we should have gotten a replacement. When it comes to Thiago, he dictates the tempo of the game. When he wants, we make it faster. When he wants, we make it slower. If we need to calm things down, we get it to him. And I think he actually has made an adjustment to the way he plays football, because with Bayern Munich, obviously, he used to play in a double pivot and have like that deep lying playmaker role. He does that now, but I think he has way higher work rate than what he did for Bayern and Barcelona, exactly what you said. And I think he's adjusted this game accordingly to the Premier League. Thing is, here's the thing: we cannot, in my opinion, regard injuries as someone who flopped. Like, I think flops is someone who plays like 20, 30 games and fails.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But with Thiago, it's literally just been injuries, because every time he has played really well. Obviously, the goal against Porto, Lord have mercy, well, like we're still arguing whether it touched the grass or not. Like, that was absolutely beautiful. Yesterday, the dribble to take it onto his left foot before he takes the shot, like, that's something you expect Mo to do or Sadio to do, but he's done it as a midfielder, and that's something we don't have in our midfield. So he brings a different element, and I'm very happy to see him play the rest of the games this season.
His technicalities was never in question. His technicalities is superior to probably most of the midfielders, maybe other than De Bruyne or nobody else. I don't see any other midfielder in the Premier League that has that technicality. The problem, which is exactly, you said it absolutely right, his work rate, it needed to be higher a little bit to actually be able, because Liverpool, it's a non-stop running. Look at the numbers. It's a non-stop pressing game for the whole game. So Jackson, Arsenal, Newcastle. Oh, one more question. Before we move on, one more question for both of you. I'm going to start with Jackson. Why people, and I'm not sure if you have seen this or not, still think that Chelsea and Man City are favorites, Liverpool are only title. There is a difference between I'm a favorite or I'm a title contender. Why do you think that happens, Jackson? Even though I think Liverpool are actually outperforming both of them.
I think a lot of it is maybe just a little bit more past form, just because obviously Chelsea won the Champions League and then they had an absolutely flying start to the Premier League season. So people are kind of taking that and they're going to be like, I don't see any signs of them slowing down. Now maybe we're starting to see signs of them slowing down. And then City is just City. You know, everyone just kind of knows that that's like the best of the best, like the best you can get. And then, so if you're having all that talk about those two, it's almost hard to, squeeze in a third one, even though I think Liverpool definitely deserves it, because if they keep up this form, absolute force to be reckoned with. And, there's not many clubs out there right now who could stop that.
I know, Husam, you're a Liverpool supporter, but if we're looking from outside, I want to get your opinion as someone who watches all the teams of the Premier League. Is that true? Is Liverpool, because people talk about actually the African Cup of Nations, who actually, just to let people know, Salah and Mane would only miss Crystal Palace and Brentford, by the way. If you look at it's only Crystal, which is, they're not very tough games. You're not playing West Ham, you're not playing Leicester City, you're still Brentford and Crystal Palace. Why is that from your point of view? Why is people keep saying that until this moment? People still think City are favorites. I don't think so, but why?
I think when it comes to Chelsea and City, I think, in my opinion, I think Chelsea win the league. That's my honest opinion. I think Liverpool come second, City come third. Look, every team has its problem out of every single one of those contenders. When it comes to Liverpool, though, in the English media before the season started, people were putting United above Liverpool.
Absolutely, yes.
A bit too gassed. I have seen people predict Liverpool outside the top four as well. Like, they're just going, you know what it is? It's because we just don't make the glamour signings in the summer and stuff. Like, we don't sign the Ronaldo, the Sancho, the Lukaku, the Grealish. We don't sign those players. We sign players who fit the system. Diogo Jota, who when he came in last season, everyone's like, Diogo Jota, are you crazy? And now look how he's performing. He's currently the second highest goal scorer in the Premier League. So we have a systematic approach to things, and sometimes maybe in the media they don't respect it. I think we will contend for the title. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we do win it, but we definitely will be there or thereabouts. All three teams will be there or thereabouts. There will be no massive gap. It's not going to be a 10-point, 15-point thing. It's going to be 2-3 points separating the three teams. So I think it's going to be a very interesting title race, and we'll definitely be in it. And listen, I hope we do win it. I hope we do win it.
I'm enjoying this season, to be honest. I want it to be a 3-horse race. I have not seen a 3-horse race since Tottenham, Arsenal, and Leicester City back, which is, I know you're laughing, but it was a great season. I think it's the lowest point tally to win the league in the last 10 years, I think, like this, because that's, if you want to call it, that's how bad the league was, or that's how good, or how close the teams were at that point of in the middle of the 2010. Arsenal, Newcastle, it's a good win by Arsenal, straightforward. To be honest, the highlight of the game for me was Aubameyang's miss. If you guys watched that one, it's kind of strange how he missed that one. I don't want to stop by that, because the guy makes 12 million a year. So, and you miss like this. Okay, big players missed chances, right? But that shows you that he's not. I don't think he's focused. I think his mind is somewhere else. I don't know what it is. But the player that we should talk about is actually Saka, to be honest. Saka is turning into a very good player. He's turning into a leader. I see him talking to the other players on the field, and you don't get that from young players. We have seen this back in the days when young players came through. But do you think that this generation of Arsenal can turn into a winning generation, or it's just going to fade away like the early 2010s?
I don't know if it'll necessarily fade away, but I think they need to bring in some other players who can help, who can help players like Saka. Also, I would put Smith Rowe up there with Saka. Those are two just absolutely great young talents who I think can definitely, like I said, I think they need a little bit of better quality behind them who can help get the ball to them, and then obviously sort out some of the defensive problems. But yeah, Saka's been absolutely brilliant as of late. He can he can pass, shoot, defend a little bit. You love it.
Tied on 4, as Husam said. Another team that is not tied with anything and anybody on the league is Newcastle. Husam, can Eddie Howe do anything about this team? Because every time people say they play awful football, they do. But I think they have about 3 players that can start in the bottom half of the league. I think Joelinton is not bad. I think Alan Saint-Maximin is not bad. I think Wilson is a very good striker. Is it fixable, Husam?
It's not fixable until the January transfer window. I think they just need to get as much as they can out of this December period. That team, I completely disagree. That team is absolutely dreadful. I've spoken to Newcastle fans. I disagree with Joelinton as well. I think they have 2 good players, and that's Saint-Maximin and Almiron. Those 2, I would say, are the 2 good players for them. Everyone else, genuinely, Callum Wilson is way too injury prone. That's the issue. When it comes to Eddie Howe, yes, he can get them playing good football, but the personnel is simply not good enough. That's the issue. That's obviously if you look at the numbers, I think Newcastle could spend up to 300 million without getting punished by FFP, which shows you that they really have just let the squad go and haven't taken care of it. So when it comes to Newcastle, I think they have to hold fort until January transfer window. Try be as close as possible, like within 6, even 9 points. 10 points, something realistic, so they can at least escape relegation. But without signings, they have no hope. They have genuinely no hope in hell. Like if the team stays as it is till the end of the season, they might as well start preparing for the championship.
I think they need 2 new center backs or a back line. That Martinelli goal, as brilliant as it was, right? If you guys watched that goal,
yeah,
it showed how disconnected this line is. Everybody, they play their own game. Like the guy ran between them, and Lucille didn't even turn to follow him. He was like watching the ball, playing back. It was kind of strange to me that this goal is brilliant, and everybody's talking about the finish and the Tomiyasu's pass and everything. That camera from the back showed how disconnected that line was. Nobody was actually marking, nobody was in the right position, and that showed me it's not even a coaching thing. It's just, as you said, Hassan, the squad from the back is just shambolic players, to be honest. They do not belong to the Premier League, this back line, at all. So Steven Gerrard, your beloved Husam Steven Gerrard, 2 wins in a row, given a position to the other team, but then taking his chances. I think the players just playing for Steven Gerrard. It's not only that he's coming to fix the tactics, he's coming to do this, he's coming to do that. It's just, I see Aston Villa players playing from the heart. I don't know why they did not play for Dean Smith in the last 5-6 games, even though the guy has been with them for a while. But it looks like Steven Gerrard can do the job. It's a back-to-back wins for him. And Aston Villa is more dangerous even after scoring, which shows you that this guy, Steven Gerrard, his eye is not only on saving them, his eyes are moving them up the table. Maybe they can get 7th, because I know they lost Jack Grealish, but with the signing of Bailey, Danny Ings, you should be able to get at least top half of the table. Jackson, I'm going to start with Jackson. Do you agree on that?
I do. I like the Aston Villa side on paper. I was a little disappointed in how they started the season. Obviously, I was a little shocked as well, because I'm thinking just the talent that's on this team, they should be getting better results. Obviously, like you were just saying, huge results for Stevie G, and he's probably got the players behind him now who are going to want to go out and do what he says. I think they should definitely 100% finish the top half of the table, especially now after the Gerrard signing. If he can, keep this up, obviously, there's no doubt.
Husam, when do you like to see Steven Gerrard back at Liverpool?
Listen, this is way too early. Way too early. We're 2 games in. We're 2 games in. So far, Steven Gerrard has just proven he was the better player than Lampard and Scholes, and right now he's the better manager as well than both of them. That's just, as Mourinho says, this is football heritage. This is just what happens. Steven Gerrard comes in and he fixes this entire situation. I think the one thing that Villa fans, like I spoke to a Villa fan, he came on my channel, he was like, I believe in Gerrard no matter what he says, because he watches his interviews and you, like, when Gerrard speaks, you just listen. This links to what we said earlier about Zidane. When Zidane speaks, you listen. If me and you right now, we play for Club X and we're managed by a random guy, versus if we got managed by Francesco Totti or Del Piero or someone like that, we will listen to them. We'll give them 100% effort. And this is exactly what's happening. And make no mistake, Gerrard's CV, he's literally having the correct career path. He said it himself. He started over at the youth academy so he could learn from scratch, set up cones, everything, just learning to make training sessions. He then went into Rangers. Rangers were third, so it wasn't even a two-horse race. It was a one-horse race, and Celtic were just absolutely dominating that league. He won that league, invincible Centurion, and the impressive thing about Gerrard is he did really well in Europe. He was beating Porto, he was beating Benfica, with a Rangers team that, let's be honest, they would probably finish 16th, 17th in the Premier League. And then they were putting out results against Champions League proven clubs. So when it comes to Gerrard, listen, if he does really well for Aston Villa, we will have that conversation. But based on the Oli, Arteta, Lampard experiment, we're just pulling the brakes on that one, just waiting to see what happens.
Crystal Palace, guys, for me, is one of the teams that I like to watch. Every time they step on the field, I like to watch them. It's that, I know people are Roy Hodgson fans and stuff like this, but I think it was too direct over football. And it was, let's get the point first and then maybe we'll win. And I think Patrick Vieira's philosophy is like, let's try to attack from the first minute. Let's try offensive side of the game. And then maybe we'll depend. It helped him that having the good pair of the center backs in the back. I think Crystal Palace are in good place. I did not think they played bad this game. They just got punished by, to be honest, a better personnel. Like, I think John McGinn is a really good player. I think Bailey is a good player. I think Aston Villa are really good side on paper, as Jackson said. I think Crystal Palace, they have a good squad. It just needs to be gelled together more than this. And also, I think that Steven Gerrard, as a manager, is way more experienced than Patrick Vieira, to be honest. Like, to go coaching in for 3 years in Scotland, winning the league, preventing Celtic from winning, it gives you way more perspective on the game than managing in the United States or managing in France, not even for that long. So this is, I think, that what made the difference is that Steven Gerrard actually knew what to tell his players when were the moments to actually go forward in numbers and try to score. And I think that made the difference. But I think both teams are going to be okay, in my opinion. But I still think Crystal Palace are going to come higher on the table, or maybe close. But I still think Crystal Palace are playing to be top half of the table, to be honest. Moving on to a team that won, not convincingly, actually, by the way. It was 4-2, yes, but it was very snowy second half. But I think Watford created chances to be able to score more than 2. However, it's a Jamie Vardy show. Sometimes he just pops and then he scores and he does his thing, run behind the defense. I'm going to start with Husam again. Leicester City. Do you agree that Leicester City are actually the 5th best squad in the division by far, especially with the signing that they had this summer?
I don't agree with that. I think with Leicester City, if they miss 1 or 2 key players, their team is done. And Leicester City are way too inconsistent. Usually for the past 2-3 years, it's been an incredible start and then they fall off. This time they're just falling off from the start already. Like, I think, maybe having 2 seasons in the top 4 and falling off has affected them negatively. I don't think they have the 5th strongest squad, because when you look at some of the players that come in Obviously, you have players like Pereira, Castagna. Those are all Premier League quality players and stuff. But I'm talking about mainly centre backs. I'm talking about positions in midfield where I don't think they're as strong. Going forward as well, like you can tell the difference when Vardy does and doesn't play. And listen, going into the fifth or sixth Leicester season in the Premier League, they still are heavily reliant on Vardy. So in terms of squad, I disagree. I don't think it's as strong. And we can see when they get a few injuries, they immediately crumble.
Yeah, I just think that players like Tielemans, they do not belong there. I don't think that he belongs there. I think he's better than them, to be honest. But to get Vestergaard and to get Ryan Bertrand, who actually played for Hasenhüttl last year, and they are very good in keeping the ball from the back. It's his philosophy, Hasenhüttl. And then playing defensively, most of your even today, they were pinned back at some parts of this game. Jackson, Watford, who actually were missing Sarr, I think, today, right? Correct me if I was wrong. They were missing Sarr today. They did not play a bad game. After the thrashing from Liverpool in that first game of Ranieri's era, do you think that Watford can actually stay in this division? Are they have a good enough squad to be safe comes April or May? Or do you think they're going to be in the relegation battle for the whole season?
I think it might be a full season relegation battle. From what I noticed today, there wasn't very a lot of good defensive organization, especially on that first goal. You saw that it was just kind of was terrible defending. They blew some chances that they probably should have got goals from up top. Obviously, Sarr is out right now. That's bad. Dennis is playing very well for them, so that's very encouraging. But overall, I think, like I said, just the lack of organization is going to come back to hurt them pretty badly.
Okay. Thomas Frank and Brentford. Misery in Merseyside. Misery. I know that Husam likes this. It's a misery in Everton. And oh my God, why? Okay, I'm going to start with Jackson again. Why is Rafa Benitez not in the talks for getting fired? Why?
I don't know. We talked about this last week, and
we don't know yet.
We talked about last week, got another terrible result again. It's why is he not being talked about? I can't give you an answer to that. He's not really. Hasn't really been many promising efforts coming out of Everton, and he's real signs of life. So I don't have a clear answer for you.
Husam, Brentford played great. I know you want to talk about Everton. I'm going to give you the floor here, right? I'm going to give you the floor, but I know I'm sure you like Rafa Benitez. He did wonders with Liverpool back. They won you the champ. He's a good manager for you, but why is he not fired? Why is he still in Everton?
First of all, that manager, I do not know his name anymore after he went to Everton, so I forgot his name. I apologize. But when it comes to Everton, the one thing you need to realize is Everton have 2 cup finals every season because they don't make it to cup finals. They have 2 cup finals. They have the game at Anfield and the game at Goodison Park. And we play them next. So if we beat them, then you're going to start all the things you're asking for right now is what you're going to start to hear. Because every single time, Everton have 1 goal going into the season. And that's to beat Liverpool home and away. They couldn't care if they get relegated and get 6 points, but they would take beating Liverpool home and away. That's all they care about. So when it comes to Benitez, here's the extremely horrendous scenario if you're an Everton fan. We play them, we score 3 goals. The Liverpool fans start singing Benitez's name, obviously just out of banter to Everton fans. Then I think the tide will turn. But when it comes to historic clubs, this is more a historical thing. Everton, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, these clubs are known to give managers time. Whether it's unless it gets to a situation where it's untenable, like Dean Smith, 5 losses in a row, that's untenable, that's unfixable. Then you would like to change it. But besides that, typical big clubs just give managers time in England. I think that's just how the clubs are built.
They just have 2 months without a win. To be honest, they are starting to lose to teams that they should not be losing to. But anyway, we'll see you next week. We're going to talk about it at the end of the show, but 2 more games to go through. But do you guys have anything to say about Norwich Wolves 0-0 or Brighton and Leeds? We're going to talk about Brighton and Leeds, about the fans.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about
Graham Potter.
The level of disrespect.
Yes, he is actually. I think Graham Potter is one of the best managers in this league in terms of
Agreed.
the guy has Mope as his forward. Like they don't sign anybody big. He is making these players better, and he actually said it in the interview. He said this team will find in relegation a little bit like just look back few months back, and then we were fighting it. Now we're eighth. Today they are ninth. So Jackson, Leeds United are struggling, second season syndrome, blah blah blah, all the stuff. Bielsa is not in danger. I know they're missing Luke Ayling. They're missing a lot of players, but Calvin Phillips coming back. But Leeds United, they should be playing better than this with the squad they have, apart from Bamford, who's injured.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they definitely should. I'm basing a lot of this off of just the last Premier League season because they were great to watch. It didn't matter who they played. It could be Burnley or it could be Man City. They were just going to, play their football, which is very attacking. And this year it's not happening. I think you could say without Bamford up there, you're struggling to score a little bit. And even though you're still keeping those tactics, which are very attacking, you leave the defense very exposed. I actually feel bad for Meslier a lot of times because I think he's a great keeper. He's just very unlucky because he just the way Leeds play, they take on a lot of shots. But I think maybe Bielsa has to change up his tactics a little bit until he gets more of his players back in there. Maybe make it a little more defensive minded so you're not getting countered all the time and have a slower build up, have more quality opportunity maybe. But that would be my idea. But yeah, I definitely think that they should be performing better than they are.
The floor is yours, Mr. Husam, about Brighton and why the fans should not boo Graham Potter and the team, and they should appreciate what's going on.
Listen, like sometimes football fans are so fickle. That's the one thing. People do not realize Graham Potter is actually performing miracles with that team. Bar Bissouma and Tariq Lamptey, those two players are the only players, in my opinion, that even get into the big six, like even get considered. Everyone else is championship quality. I'm not even talking Premier League. I'm not even talking mid-table, lower table. I am saying championship quality. And Graham Potter literally has a 7'3" left wing back in Sean Byrne, and he still produces incredible football, and he's entertaining, and he keeps Brighton in the league, and he gives you big results against big teams every single season. And somehow football fans just love to complain. Football fans love to complain even when there's no reason to complain whatsoever. When it comes to Brighton are 8th. We all grew up watching the Premier League here. Brighton were not even a Premier League stable team. Brighton were never a team that you looked at like, oh yeah, Brighton's definitely going to stay in the Premier League. We never had that conversation. Those conversations were about Leeds, West Brom, Aston Villa. Those were the clubs that you expected to stay in the Premier League. Brighton was never even part of that. The fact that they're even 8th now, they produce incredible quality football. By the way, before blaming Potter, blame your board. Because if they give him a proper striker, I fully believe Brighton could finish top 6. Because they are the XG kings. I know a lot of people don't like XG, but they're the XG kings. They create so many chances, but yet, as you said, Mopa is their striker, or Danny Welbeck is their striker, or they have some random guy called Sean Connolly who's their striker.
Absolutely,
So I just don't get what they're really expecting. I mean, even if they just went to Liverpool and bought Origi, or went to Arsenal and bought Martinelli, or whatever it is, at least someone who's able to score 12, 13, 14 goals at least, they would be in a good place. But they create so much and have no one to finish it. It's like you imagine going to a restaurant, everything is incredible, but the plates are dirty. Like that's basically Brighton, because the food is incredible, the steak looks delicious, you cut it, it's juicy, but then you look underneath it and the plate's dirty. That's the striker. So they can't finish their chances, and it has nothing to do with Brighton or Graham Potter. And to the Brighton fans, I would happily take Graham Potter after Klopp's gone. I would happily take him. I rate him that highly. You can make an argument right now. Brighton are top 3 most entertaining teams in the Premier League to watch.
Absolutely. Every week I sit watch them and I'm like, why didn't you invest 20-30 million in a striker? It's that easy. You don't spend that much. Just go spend 20 million, get somebody to get you double digits, and then you will be safe. You won't even talk about relegation. You will talk about top half of the table, top 6. But anyway, is there anything to talk about Norwich and Wolves? It was kind of strange game. Just one thing I wanted to say. Wolves played for the draw and Norwich played for the win. Just to let you, if you watch, because I watched the game, it was kind of strange to me that Wolves, in the last 20 minutes, they were like, you know what, we're happy with this scoreline. But anyway, I think Norwich are actually, they're doing okay. They're not doing bad. Well, they might do it after all of us said that they were already relegated. They might do it. They might do it. Man United, Arsenal next midweek, guys. Start with Jackson. Who's favorite in this game?
That's tough for me.
Is it that hard?
I think I'm gonna go with Arsenal, I think.
Is there anything to look for in this game? Like matchups? Is it Tomiyasu against Rashford? Is it Saka against Shaw, who's coming back?
Yeah, sorry, 1 second. Sorry, I just had a visitor. I think today we're talking about how Manchester United were better defensively. I wonder if Maguire wasn't in the squad. I would sure say so. I think so he'll come back. So obviously the defense is just going to be in shambles again. So that'll give Saka and Smith Rowe some chances to explore and take shots. If Sancho's in the side again, I think the Tavares-Sancho matchup could be interesting. I think Tavares might get exposed. But other than that, I think it's going to be an exciting game to watch because I can't really nail it down. I would give the to Arsenal to win.
Is there any way Everton can win the game, Husam, against Liverpool? Anyway, if you are an Everton fan or an Everton, is there any way? Like, I'm watching the two teams that are like, there is no way Everton can get something out of this game.
Listen, famous last words. Football has taught us that nothing is impossible. So I'm not going to put myself in a position where I say there is no way. There is a way. There is always a way. Listen, was there a way for Southampton to draw against Man City? No. Was there a way for Crystal Palace to beat Man City? No. Was there a way for Burnley to get a draw at Stamford Bridge? No. But it still happened because football is just a beautiful game and anything can happen. The thing is, here's my thing. There are two Evertons that have played against Liverpool for the last 15 to 20 years ever since I've been watching Liverpool. The Everton that has the second character syndrome, which is basically the inferiority complex, where you guys are bigger than us, we're just gonna, we have no hope. And you have the Everton that is, working hard, giving it their all. I think this Wednesday we're gonna get a third version of Everton. An Everton that wants to win the game, but they're unsure, they're uncertain, they're not confident. Rafa Benitez is probably going to play 10 at the back. The formation leak from now, 10-0-0, that's their formation. I'm telling you from right now, that's the formation. There's no need to wait. That's literally the team they're going to play. So with Everton, yes, there's hope, but the reason there's hope is because there's hope in football, not because there's hope in Everton. That's all I'm going to say.
It's brilliant. It's actually really brilliant. Okay. Thank you all for listening. That's it for today. I want to thank my guest. Thank you, Jackson.
Thank you for having me. Fun as always.
And Husam, it was absolutely brilliant, my brother. It was absolutely a great discussion. You added so much. Thank you so much for joining us here. It was great to hear you. Thank you so much for coming.
No worries. The pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for the invite. I had fun as well. Big up, Jackson. It's a pleasure working with you as well for the first time. So big up you both. It was very enjoyable. And the pleasure is mine.
And thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Please rate us on any platform you get your podcast at, or like the video, subscribe if you haven't yet. We're going to put all the links in the video description. And thank you all for watching, and see you next week.